Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, or whatever time it is. I am Memo Arrubla. I am a sergeant with Phoenix Police Department. I'm also the founder, president of Beach Street, Arizona, and I'm also an entrepreneur, run a side business. So we all have epiphanies and we all have multiple pivotal moments, but I think one of the biggest ones for me was becoming a father at a very young age. I was 16 years old when I found out that my girlfriend at the time was pregnant, and it really kind of changed the dynamics on how I saw life in terms of perception, because it was in that moment that I realized it was no longer about me. Because when you grow up, you're soul searching, you're finding yourself, and I realized it was no longer about me in terms of purpose. It was now about my son. Well, I didn't know it was his son at the time, but my baby that was on its way. And that really changed everything in terms of how I saw life, my actions, my behavior. Ultimately, it made me mature extremely fast, because I chose to be present and be there, because I did not want to be a deadbeat dad and be absent in my child's life, because I know the trauma that brings and the results in what would have happened had I chosen that route. Great question. I like that question. So I would say how I mentally prepare, I think we're constantly evolving in terms, again, it has a lot to do with our interpersonal relationships or what we're going through in our lives, whether it's family, professional, personal, spiritual. I mean, there's so many components, there's so many layers to this onion. But I think to prepare yourself, first and foremost, you have to have some sort of focal point. So some of us that may be a passion, for some of us that may be a purpose. Sometimes that goes hand in hand, but there has to be a goal, and then you have to commit to it. And I think that's kind of when you start to tell yourself, think of like January 1st, and I always bring up January 1st because that's the year that most people decide to turn the page or start anew, or I'm gonna lose weight or whatever the case is. But that's exactly how life works. January 1st, like every day should be a January 1st where you wake up with a new purpose and say, this is what I'm gonna do. But I think the more important part, not just finding that, I think the most important part is the dedication, sticking to it. Because most of us start off and, unfortunately we want results quick. And that's not how life works. Things take time to evolve. Sometimes we have setbacks. So I think sticking to it. So when I prepare myself for the next chapter in my life, it's more so of just kind of thinking, this is the goal, this is what I want, but understanding that this is going to be a process. This isn't going to be, swipe right and it's there, or, I'm gonna, send it out and I should get that instant reply. If this is going to be a process, this is gonna be something that I'm going to stick with no matter what. Passion and purpose, the big PPE words. That ain't coming out right. Let's start over on that one. So passion and purpose. My passion is, I have lots of passions. I'm passionate in a lot of things, music, helping people, art. So I'm passionate about a lot of things. But I think passion and purpose do play a role in terms of influencing one another. My purpose, I think I serve multiple purposes. Obviously, I chose a career of servitude, which I've been doing for 22 years. Nonprofit, obviously, to help kids. But at the end of it, there's always a selfish reason. And, for me, whether for some of us, it's, some people seek the spotlight, others seek, monetary value. For me, it was more of dealing with my demons, kind of dealing with trauma. And sometimes I've noticed people that help others usually have gone through some really hardships in their lives. And it's kind of their way of dealing with, it's kind of your way of going back in time and helping that individual that didn't get help or, wasn't helped, or you felt helpless. So I think when it comes to passion and purpose, for me, ultimately is, to sum it up, which is completely doing it no justice, because again, there's lots, and we can spend a whole hour here on me talking about my passion and purpose. But I think ultimately is to wake up every day and serve a purpose. So it's not so much about my purpose as what am I serving? What am I providing? So not so much it's very much on an altruistic level where it's, I just want to leave a footprint, not so much as my name being recognized or who I am, but just an influence, a positive influence in any shape, form, or fashion, whether it's motivating somebody, whether it's helping somebody, whether it's them hearing my story and saying, you know what, I relate, I connect, I'm not alone. whatever that looks like. So ultimately, it's just getting up every day and serving. So one thing that I would love to share with y'all on your journey is, and I mentioned this earlier, and I can't stress this enough because, so I have this whole lecture that I give. It's called the 4 Pillars of Success. And I think these 4 things, if you play them out right or you do them right, it will ultimately lead you to success, whatever that is for you. Number 1, patience. So you have to understand things, it's a process. Technology has undermined our patience, has taken that away. If we see the little spinning wheel of death when our Wi-Fi is low, we lose our minds. So that's just a testament to show that, we've lost that sense of patience. But I think when it comes to life, you have to be patient. But the irony of it is that life is short. So you have to be patient, but at the same time, be driven. To, you don't want to sit around too long. The second element is effort. So it's not just being patient, but it's what you're putting in. Unfortunate with some people have been very successful at kind of the gimmick, get rich quick schemes is what I call it. Now a lot of people want to set up a YouTube channel and, be Insta famous or just take some pictures and, and I don't want to say seamless work because that's like insulting to those that, spend a lot of hours in capturing, media and stuff for their sites. I'm not saying that, but, the days of a lot of people wanting to go to school for 8 to 12 years, it's kind of like, oh, I'm not. And granted, everybody's strong suited in different things, but at the end of the day, even for those social media and those, you still have to put in some effort. So don't expect something to knock at your door. Don't expect success to come falling on your lap unless you hit the lotto. If you do, hit me up, call me. I'd love to have a drink. But ultimately, I think it's one of those things where you have to get up and do something. You have to put in that effort. So patience, effort, perseverance is huge. We all have a story. I'm sure all of us endured some sort of trauma. And with that being said, I think a lot of that trauma translates into our young adult life, into our adult life. And even as, adults and old people like me, I still have friends and people that are still dealing with some trauma that happened back in the day. So perseverance is obviously the ability to get back up, because we're going to get knocked down, but it's the ability to get back up and keep on moving. But in that kind of, there's, I guess, subtitle under that, I would also say dealing with that trauma. Don't just ignore it. Make sure you're dealing with it. Make sure if there's something that you endured or you haven't spoken about it, you haven't told anybody, please do so and seek therapy. There's nothing wrong with seeking therapy and seeking professional help. I think it is important for us to have a clear mind so we can be more focused in what we want out of life. Because if you're clouded with all these feelings and emotions and, these incidences that happen to us, then it's going to be very hard to move forward if you're still holding on to the past. And lastly, support. I think support is huge. So those are the 4, patience, effort, perseverance, and support. Support is huge because, I hate the term, I'm a self-made XYZ. There is no such thing as self-made. Somebody helped you along the way. Somebody provided some sort of support. Allow that support to be, brought upon you if in whatever you're doing. Excuse me. So it's one of those things where I say, be patient, put in the effort, persevere when things go bad, and be open-minded to the support and those that are wanting to help you and willing to help you. And that's it.